They were told they couldn't fight, dismissed as inferior by their own country and mocked by their enemies. But in the frozen mountains of Italy and the blood-soaked beaches of France, these black soldiers would prove everyone wrong, delivering victories so stunning that even Hitler's army couldn't believe what hit them. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Hit that like button and turn on notifications, because the story you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about World War II. This is history they didn't teach you in school. December 1941. Pearl Harbor burns, and America erupts in patriotic fury. Across the nation, millions of young men rush to enlist, desperate to serve their country in its darkest hour. Among them are hundreds of thousands of black Americans, ready to fight fascism abroad. But the United States military has other ideas. In a country where segregation reigns supreme, the armed forces reflect the same brutal racism that defines civilian life. Black men are allowed to enlist, but only for menial roles: cooks, laborers, stevedores. The generals in Washington believe with absolute certainty that black soldiers lack the intelligence, courage, and discipline for combat. It's written into official policy. It's accepted as fact. The irony burns like acid. America fights against Hitler's doctrine of racial superiority while enforcing its own version. At home, black soldiers will fight for freedom in Europe, while their families back home can't drink from the same water fountains as white Americans. But these men don't let that stop them. They volunteer anyway, hoping that service and sacrifice might finally earn them the respect their country denies them. They have no idea just how much they'll have to prove, or how spectacularly they'll succeed. The rejection comes in waves. The Army Air Corps flatly refuses black applicants for pilot training. The reasoning is coldly bureaucratic. Negroes lack the mental capacity for aviation. The Marine Corps won't accept them at all until 1942. Forced by presidential order, the Navy assigns them to mess halls. When the military finally, reluctantly creates black combat units, they're given the worst equipment, the least experienced white officers, and impossible standards. It's sabotage dressed up as opportunity. Consider the Tuskegee Airmen. In 1941, the Army Air Corps finally establishes a training program for black pilots at Tuskegee, Alabama. But it's designed to fail. The base is segregated, isolated, starved of resources. The instructors are harder on these men than any white cadets. Every mistake is magnified. Every success is dismissed as luck. The washout rate is deliberately brutal. But these men refuse to quit. They study harder, fly better, push past exhaustion. They know they're not just training to be pilots. They're fighting for the right of every black man who'll come after them. Meanwhile, in Europe and North Africa, the war rages. White units fight and die, earning medals and glory. Back home, newspapers print stories of their heroism. Black soldiers read those papers while loading supplies, cleaning latrines, building roads. The humiliation is constant. The message is clear. You're not good enough for this fight. Then comes Italy, 1944. The 92nd Infantry Division, one of only 2 black infantry divisions in the entire United States Army, finally gets deployed to combat. They're sent to the Italian front, to the Gothic Line, a series of German fortifications in the Apennine Mountains that have broken every unit thrown against them. The 92nd is given a sector that white commanders consider impossible. They're undermanned, poorly supplied, and led by white officers who believe they'll fail. Some of those officers actively want them to fail, to prove once and for all that black soldiers can't fight. The results are predictable. Facing elite German mountain troops with inadequate support, parts of the division falter. American newspapers pounce on the story. Negro Division breaks under fire. The headlines scream. The whole ugly narrative comes roaring back. See? We told you they couldn't handle combat. In living rooms across Black America, families read these stories with breaking hearts. Their sons and brothers, desperate to serve, publicly humiliated. In foxholes across Italy, black soldiers seethe with rage. They know the truth. They know they've been set up to fail, and they vow to prove everyone wrong. Here's where the story transforms. Here's where expectations start to shatter. August 1944, France. The 761st Tank Battalion rolls off the transport ships and into history. They call themselves the Black Panthers, and their motto is simple: come out fighting. General George Patton, desperate for armor to support his drive across France, addresses them with his typical bluntness. I don't care what color you are as long as you go up there and kill those Kraut sons of bitches. He growls. It's not exactly progressive, but it's permission to fight. That's all they need. Within days, the 761st smashes through German lines at Nancy, France. The fighting is brutal. Close quarters, desperate German tanks and anti-tank guns turn the battlefield into a killing ground. The Black Panthers don't flinch. They advance through fire that would break veteran units. They flank German positions with tactics that leave enemy commanders stunned. Within weeks, the reputation spreads through Patton's Third Army. Those black tankers are among the best in the theater. The 761st fights for 183 consecutive days, 6 months of non-stop combat, longer than any other American tank battalion in the war. They liberate 30 towns. They smash through the Siegfried Line, Hitler's supposedly impregnable border defenses. They fight in the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's last desperate gamble, where they help turn the tide of Germany's surprise offensive white infantry units, who once looked at them with suspicion now cheer when the Black Panthers arrive. The tankers have earned something beyond medals. Respect written in blood, and Fire Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers becomes a legend. When his tank is hit and his leg shattered by shrapnel, medics try to evacuate him. Rivers refuses. He commands his tank for 3 more days, leading attacks despite excruciating pain, until a German shell finally kills him. His courage is so extraordinary that even racist officers can't deny it, but they do anyway. Rivers is recommended for the Medal of Honor. The recommendation is rejected. The medal won't come for 53 years, long after he's dead. High above Europe, another revolution unfolds. The Tuskegee Airmen, finally assigned to combat duty, are given the most critical mission in the air war. Bomber escort American B-17 and B-24 bombers are being slaughtered by German fighters. Bomber crews fly their missions, knowing they might not come home. The losses are unsustainable. When the 332nd Fighter Group, the Tuskegee Airmen's combat unit, takes over escort duty, they make a sacred promise. They will not lose a bomber. They paint their P-51 Mustangs with distinctive red tails. The bombers learn to watch for those red tails, to relax when they see them on the horizon. The German Luftwaffe learns to fear them. In dogfights over Germany, Austria, and the Balkans, the Red Tails prove to be exceptional pilots, aggressive, skilled, utterly determined. They rack up dozens of kills. More importantly, they keep their promise. The 332nd Fighter Group has the lowest bomber loss rate of any escort unit in the entire war. December 1944. The Battle of the Bulge explodes across the Ardennes Forest. Hitler throws everything he has left into one final offensive, hoping to split the Allied armies and force a negotiated peace. The assault catches American forces completely off guard. Units are surrounded, cut off, desperately fighting for survival. Among them is the 333rd Field Artillery Battalion, a black unit that suddenly finds itself surrounded by elite SS panzer divisions near Bastogne. The 333rd has a choice: surrender or fight to the death against impossible odds. They choose to fight. For days they hold their positions in sub-zero temperatures, outnumbered 5-1, running low on ammunition and food. German tanks roll toward them through the snow. The artillerymen lower their guns to point-blank range and fire directly at the advancing armor. They turn their howitzers into oversized shotguns, blasting German infantry at close range. The fighting is savage, medieval in its brutality. When relief finally arrives, more than half the battalion is dead or wounded. But they haven't broken. They've held the line, blunted a crucial German thrust, bought time for reinforcements to arrive. The white units that fought beside them are in awe. Officers who wrote reports questioning black soldiers' courage now write letters of commendation that border on disbelief. How did they hold? How did they not break? The answer is simple, though few want to acknowledge it. They're exceptional soldiers who've been underestimated their entire lives. Back in Italy, the 92nd Infantry Division gets a second chance. New leadership arrives. Commanders who actually believe in their men and give them proper support. In the spring of 1945, the division launches an assault on the Gothic line that was supposed to be impossible. They attack mountain positions that have held for months, climbing steep terrain under murderous fire. The breakthrough is stunning. In days, they crack defenses that had been impregnable for nearly a year. White units follow through the gap the black soldiers create. The generals who called them cowards are suddenly silent. First Lieutenant Vernon Baker leads his weapons platoon in an assault on German mountain bunkers. With his unit pinned down by machine gun fire, Baker single-handedly destroys 3 machine gun nests, 2 observation posts, and a dugout. When his company commander is killed, Baker takes charge, leading the survivors to safety while remaining under fire. His actions are so heroic that even his white officers can't ignore them. He's recommended for the Medal of Honor. The recommendation is downgraded to the Distinguished Service Cross. The Medal of Honor won't come for 52 years. The pattern repeats across Europe. Black soldiers perform acts of extraordinary courage. White officers recommend them for high honors. Those recommendations are systematically rejected or downgraded. The institution protects its prejudices, even in the face of overwhelming evidence. But the evidence can't be denied forever. By the spring of 1945, as Germany collapses, the reputation of black combat units is established beyond question. German commanders, captured and interrogated, express surprise and respect for the fighting ability of these troops. Nazi propaganda, which had mocked America's use of black soldiers, goes suddenly quiet. Even Hitler's true believers can't spin the defeats these units have inflicted. May 1945. The war in Europe ends. Black soldiers participate in liberation, entering concentration camps where they free prisoners who've suffered under a different but parallel system of racial hatred. The meeting of these two groups, victims of Nazi genocide and victims of American racism, creates moments of profound connection. The freed prisoners see black American soldiers as angels of liberation, heroes in every sense. The soldiers see, with sickening clarity, where racial hatred leads when left unchecked. Then comes the return home. The same ships that carried them to war carry them back, still segregated by race. The same country they saved greets them with the same discrimination they left behind. In the South, black veterans in uniform are beaten for daring to wear their medals in public. They return to towns where they still can't vote, can't eat in white restaurants, can't live in certain neighborhoods. The victory in Europe feels hollow when the war at home continues unchanged. But something has shifted. These veterans know what they accomplished. They know they shattered every lie told about their abilities. They fought the most powerful military in the world and won. They won't accept subjugation quietly anymore. Many become leaders in the civil rights movement. Their service becomes a weapon against segregation. How can America deny rights to men who bled for freedom? In 1948, President Truman desegregates the military. It's a direct result of black soldiers' World War II service. The evidence of their capability is too overwhelming to ignore. The military becomes one of the first major American institutions to integrate, a model for the society that will slowly, painfully follow. The medals take longer. For decades, the heroes of black combat units are denied the recognition they earned. The system that sent them to war can't quite bring itself to honor them appropriately. But time and justice, however slowly, catch up. In 1997, President Clinton awards the Medal of Honor to 7 black World War II veterans, including Vernon Baker, the only one still alive to receive it. In 2007, the 761st Tank Battalion finally receives the Presidential Unit Citation. The recognition comes too late for most of the men who earned it, but their families accept the honors with pride, mixed with bitter anger at decades of denial. Today, their story stands as testament to a profound truth. Excellence cannot be suppressed forever. The black soldiers of World War II faced enemies on 2 fronts, fascism abroad and racism at home. They defeated both, though the victory at home took decades longer. They proved that prejudice is always built on lies, that artificial limits on human potential serve only to weaken everyone. The Tuskegee Airmen never lost a bomber. The 761st Tank Battalion never stopped fighting. The 333rd Field Artillery held when they should have broken. The 92nd Infantry Division conquered mountains deemed impregnable. These men shattered every expectation, destroyed every stereotype, and forced a nation to confront its own hypocrisy. They didn't just fight for victory. They fought for dignity, for recognition, for the simple acknowledgement of their humanity. If this story moved you, honor these heroes by sharing it. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this. Drop a comment telling us which soldier's story impacted you most. These men fought so we could be free. The least we can do is remember their names and tell their stories. Next week, we're bringing you another untold story of courage that changed history. Until then, remember, excellence always finds a way to shine through, no matter how hard anyone tries to dim it. These soldiers proved that forever.